Hi there, my name's Steve Bolton and welcome to the Business Survival Guide, number 2 of 3, helping you as a business owner get ready for coronavirus, take preventative action and have an understanding of some of the things that I think might be helpful and might be coming down the road with regard to coronavirus. Okay, this is my personal point of view. And please feel free to share this information, connect if you want to on social channels. So in this part 2, we're going to cover what type of business do you have and what sector you're in, because obviously different ones are going to be affected in different ways. Understanding the psychology of a market cycle, how to react to a fall is really quite a helpful visual to understand that if you've not seen that before. What are the government doing and what else might we expect over the coming days? I'll share with you my thoughts on some of the really positive actually interventions that I think we're going to start seeing. Stakeholder considerations, how to kind of think about that, how to avoid the 7 biggest mistakes that business owners make in a crisis, and how to prepare for lockdown. Okay, so before we start, quick background. I lost a business. I had to close a business in 2001 as a result of a pandemic. It was one with livestock foot and mouth disease that you might remember. Okay, where 6 million livestock were slaughtered, and that had a knock-on consequence of one of my businesses that we had to put it into voluntary liquidation. Okay, so got a lot of experience, learned from that, got a real passion for business and helping other business owners scale up their businesses and fundamentally to be successful. And in challenging times, there are different ways of thinking, different actions that you need to take to give you the best chance of not only surviving, but also prospering and thriving as and when we come out the other side of this, because all things shall pass. So there's 3 phases of understanding. I covered the first one in my presentation. It's basically about raising awareness for people that on this -10 to +10 scale think that the coronavirus is fake news or conspiracy theory, whereas actually looking at the other end of the spectrum, I think it's always better to hope for the best but plan for the worst. And that's essentially what I've been trying to do with this 3-part series. Second stage then, once you're aware, is to take responsibility. And that's really what this presentation is about. And then the third step is to take action. Okay, and that presentation is going to be coming in the following days. So what type of business you have? Micro, small, medium, or you might be part of a much larger organization, but essentially less than 10 employees as a micro. Small is less than 50, less than 250. You might be a sole trader. You might have 1 or 2 staff. Okay, so you'll know the size of your business. And in terms of the financial strength of your business, you might have had an impending business failure on the horizon, and coronavirus might be the thing that just tips you over the edge. Laura Ashley is a good example. Administrators being called in there to that business. All right, there's other companies out there that probably coronavirus is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, and they are going to fail or potentially going to fail, depending on government intervention, which we'll come on to. All right, you've got others that are stable business or treading water. And then you've got, as you go up the scale, some are really financially strong, been waiting for a recession, ready to invest, ready to capitalize on some of the opportunities that are going to be coming. All right, so you'll know where you are personally on that scale. What sector you're in, all right? Lots of different sectors. I'm going to give generic advice, but then I'm also going to talk to you about ways in which you can get individual support for your personal circumstances, because not only are there different sectors, every single person's personal circumstances are obviously going to be different. All right. Some sectors we know, tourism, going to be hit incredibly hard. Anything to do with live events, going to be hit really, you're going to be really challenged. Airline industry, that kind of thing. All right. Real estate, what's going to happen? So some of the sectors I'm involved with, property, some of the key questions, will people still be buying and selling? You know, there's FT this morning. I'm talking about the property market with viewings drying up. You know, will tenants still pay rent? Will my landlord evict me? Will mortgage companies give me grace periods? We've heard that, you know, already the government have said, yeah, mortgage lenders are going to give 3-month grace periods. Okay. What about utilities and tax? What do I do about my staff? So there's some of the key questions that I'm going to get into in this presentation, as well as another sector we look at, e-commerce. You know, it's another business that we have. Will I be able to get products to customers? Will my staff be allowed to continue to work? Do I need to pay my rent? How can I cut my overheads? What about is there demand for virtual products? and what will demand be like on the other side of coronavirus if we're in a recessionary environment. So some fairly big questions there. Okay, Amazon, you can see, suspending non-essential deliveries amid the coronavirus outbreak. So if you want answers to your business questions, what I'm going to do from now on is a daily question and answer, both on LinkedIn in public posts, but then also in the Bolt Network, which is a smaller community of about 600 people, where it's not just me, lots of other successful business owners and property people and e-commerce business owners will be answering questions on a daily basis. And I'm planning to do some live Facebook Q&As and some LinkedIn lives as well as this develops. Okay, if you've got very challenging issue or very important issue and you don't want to put that in the public domain, then you can send it to me by email. Can't promise to answer all questions. I will try. But what I might do, depending on the volume of emails that come in, try and cover those on the Facebook and the LinkedIn lives. So let's look at the psychology of a market cycle. If you've seen this before, apologies, but I think it's really useful to look at anyway. So if you look at the complacency, where I still think some people are in a place of complacency, not going to affect me, my business, it's not going to be affected that badly. I think most people have moved out of that phase now. Anxiety, people are concerned. There's a lot of uncertainty, right? It's literally evolving on a minute by minute, day by day basis. So there is a lot of anxiety out there. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of people getting upset. There's a lot of people concerned about their job. How are they going to pay the mortgage? How are you going to pay for all the costs you've got in a business if all your customers are cancelling their contracts or not paying your bills? All right, so a lot of anxiety, quite a lot of denial that I'm seeing at the moment. Panic, not quite there with the majority of the population, I don't think, at the moment, but the panic phase is to come. I think, as we go day by day now, there's going to be a lot more panic. There's financial markets are certainly panicking, but I would say the business community, I'm not seeing panic. I'm not seeing capitulation, not seeing a lot of anger at the moment. Okay. But those things are going to be coming. So it's useful to know if they're coming. These might be some emotions that you go through. Just being aware of this model, and then a period of depression, disbelief, and then we get to hope and optimism, very much like the change curve, okay, that you go through whenever you experience a significant change personally in your life. A business cycle follows a similar kind of curve to that. All right, things will get better. But if you understand these phases and you're prepared, you keep calm, try and avoid denial, panic, capitulation, and anger. So what the government doing? Taking unprecedented measures, okay? Over 300 billion pumped into the economy, base rate down, statutory sick pay, the 1.5 million of small business loans underwritten by the government, or 80% of them used to be. They haven't made it clear whether it's 80 or 100% underwritten by the government. That's quite an important distinction because the banks will have, if the banks have still got that 20% of that loan as risk capital. Some of the sort of emails that I've seen from some of the banks are still going through the normal kind of submit a kind of a business plan, turnover levels, profit levels, all that sort of thing. So my concern with that particular measure, even though sizable amounts of money are available, is how quickly and how easily will it be, and how stringent will the banks be on just giving loans to various businesses. Okay, so I'm not sure how much that measure is actually going to help. Sounds great on a news conference, but let's see how it rolls out in practice this weekend or next week, which is what the Chancellor said. 3-month mortgage payment holidays. My belief is they will be extended beyond that, but certainly we know it's 3 months at the moment. You need to write to your mortgage lender. We'll come on to that. Grants for 700,000 companies, year-long holidays from business rates for those sectors most affected, and then smaller companies also eligible for a grant, which is non-repayable, as I understand it, up to £25,000. Okay, so they are the first steps. What else might we expect? Well, when the government says we'll do whatever it takes, in Sweden, just announced today, government looking to guarantee 90% of wages for a period of time. Base rate, I think, is almost certainly going to go down to 0%. It's not been announced yet. These are just some personal ideas of things that we could see. We've seen in other countries, cash payments. I think it was £1,100 equivalent in Japan. The US have come out, obviously not for everybody. but for the majority of the population that need it. Further grants to protect jobs, to protect rent payments, maybe payment holidays from rent, utilities and tax, 6 months or longer mortgage payment holidays, cash grants for those in the gig economy and those that are self-employed, payments to match turnover in previous years has been discussed. Okay, big bailouts for airlines, airports, and others, a VAT freeze. All right, so there's all these types of things, and I would say the really positive message out of this presentation, if you take one thing away, what I hope you would take is the government are talking about unprecedented measures. We will do whatever it takes. Okay, so I would urge caution, and I would urge not making knee-jerk reactions. Okay, John Maynard Keynes, a very famous economist, when the facts change, I change my mind. What do you do, sir? Okay, so the facts are changing literally on an hourly, certainly on a daily basis at the moment. All right, so please bear that in mind. I know people love certainty. I know they like to have plans and look to the future and have budgets and all that sort of thing, but we are in a very reactionary phase at the moment with so many key fundamental things moving. I would just urge caution. I would urge this: keep calm and be kind. And I'll talk about what I mean by that in a second. So firstly, let's look at your stakeholder considerations. You've got your internal and your external stakeholders. I'm going to look at owners, going to look at employees, going to look at customers, suppliers, and communities as the main stakeholders for most businesses. So I put those stakeholders, and I think it's a good way to look at it, in two different categories. Okay, governments and what I call big business bailouts. So these are organizations like mortgage lenders, like insurance companies, like utility providers, like the airlines, the really big corporations that if they fail, as one of the books over there, too big to fail. Okay, a book there about why the financial crisis and why the government let one bank fail, but actually no more, because they saw the devastating effect that it had on the economy. Okay, so more and more money is going to get pumped in. So the bigger corporations that are going to be underpinned by the government, should be viewed in one way, and then where there's real people and staff and customers and suppliers, and maybe they're not going to get bailed out by the government. I think they will actually, but just you've got to balance that financial reality of your cash flow and what you're looking at the moment with also some important humanistic considerations. And I don't expect that to be easy. There will be some tough choices maybe that need to be made, but let's look at how we might be able to go about that. Okay, so big business bailout stakeholders, okay, VAT, PAYE, national insurance, any tax, okay, there is a time to pay process in place, okay, there's an HMRC helpline, call them, let them know what's going on, and you will be given time to pay. There will be a deferment, I believe, on all of these things. That's certainly the experience other people have told me. All right. So basically, you stop paying tax, but don't just stop paying it without calling them. Call them and just say, look, coronavirus, it's going to shut down my business. These are some implications, or it's going to have a dramatic effect on my business. So if you need to protect cash, if you don't, you pay your tax bill. But I would suggest that actually the preservation of cash at this time is quite important. All right, either for survival, or if you're not in survival, for investment when we start to come out the other side of this. There's going to be some amazing opportunities. And if you've got cash and you're fluid and flexible and able to move, then that's a good place to be. Mortgages, you've got payment holidays of 3 months, write to your lender, contact your lender, go through that process. But mortgage flexibility is going to be there. It may well last for more than 3 months. We'll see how that plays out. Utility companies, expect announcements from the government, I think, on this over the coming days, but also write to them, take your own view. But if things are very tight, stop paying your utilities. Okay, what are you going to get? You're going to get a red letter. You're going to get more time to pay. They're not going to come after you straight away, certainly not in the environment that we're in and what we're about to go into. Okay, business rates, grants, loans, explore the options, see what's available out there. Okay, just see what comes and see how long the process is going to take. But certainly the grants, which I think are not repayable, obviously be all over those. But fundamentally, it's your decision if you want to take on debt or need to take on debt to get through this period. Expect more good news and support from the government over the coming days. Protect your cash and your cash flow. We'll come on to that in a minute. but don't overcorrect at the moment. All right, do the scenario planning, but don't overcorrect. Businesses and reputations, importantly, will still be as relevant post-corona as they were pre-corona. Okay, so just think about your staff, think about other stakeholders, think about the reputation, think about your suppliers. All right, you got some choices there, some ethical choices as well, I think, to make. So Virgin, for example, came out, and basically got enforced leave for 8 weeks for all staff. Okay. Richard Branson and Virgin are getting quite a lot of stick for that, in terms of the media and the perception. It's like, okay, we've got a problem as a company. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to pass the problem straight onto the staff. Okay, not something I would personally do. Okay, so let's look at stakeholders from an owner and shareholder priority. Business survival and cash preservation, orders of the day. Have you done your Corona cash flow? Okay, it's just an example one there. All right. Assume extreme revenue reductions. Cuts and timeframes will depend on the sector, but be ultra pessimistic, I would suggest, in terms of your revenue, and just see what it looks like. Okay. Scenario plan the cash flow and then cost savings, different scenarios. What if you cut that? What if you cut that? What if you cut that? But don't do it immediately. Certainly some of the things don't do immediately. The things that have a humanistic element to it. Okay. So consider the negative impacts of overcorrecting too quickly from an owner and a shareholder point of view. Customers, do an impact assessment if you haven't already done it. And if they're B2B and they sell on whatever services to other customers, then or products, then what's the implication for them on their customers? All right. What level of awareness do they have? Are they blindly going, things are going to be fine, things are going to be fine? And your choice, do you educate them or do you actually ignore them? And are you in regular contact with them? Because this is going to change daily for a lot of your clients and customers. Okay. Just because they're optimistic doesn't mean you should be optimistic. Okay. And you've got an opportunity here to be preeminent. Do you want to be the best and most trusted advisor? Do you want to have a relationship with your clients and your customers and your partners where they trust you? And you're actually saying, look, scenario plan, hope for the best, plan for the worst. This is the worst that can happen. That's the kind of middle, and that's an optimistic scenario. How are you set in each of those three situations? Find out what the impact they think might be, and then maybe decide how you're going to communicate with them and what you're going to recommend to them. Okay. One of my businesses, we could recommend to all of our clients, keep spending money, keep carry on as normal. But that's not what we've recommended, because we see what's coming. And actually it's taken the pressure off them. It's built trust. It's built a relationship. We're saying, look, we want to work with you through this process. We want to help each other. Communication is critical, because they can support you, you can support them. All right. This is where really strong relationships get formed in times of adversity. It's easy to be a fair weather friend in business. All right. It's easy to be, just basically think of yourself and try and go into survival mode. Actually, what partnership is truly about is when things are difficult, you actually work through stuff together. Staff, don't make any knee-jerk reactions. Take it day by day, and remember, whatever it takes is what the government are planning to do. Okay, if you're a Laura Ashley and it's going down anyway, then you might need to make some knee-jerk reactions, because actually you have a financial responsibility as a director of a business. All right, you have a responsibility. You cannot continue to trade insolvently if there is not sunshine on the horizon, if you cannot see and justify a way of actually getting through the other side of this. All right, so you can't ignore your legal responsibilities. All right. But if you're not in that situation, then whatever it takes, other statements made by government can't be solved with a single package, meaning there's more and more measures that are coming. It's time to be bold and courageous. We will provide all the tools needed to protect jobs, income, businesses, and loved ones. That is one heck of a statement. All right. And more measures will be announced in the coming days. So, and I will go back to those measures. All right, go back and have a look at that. I'll just bring it up again, actually, because I think it's quite important. These are some of the things that we could see. I'm not saying, not sort of guaranteeing all of those things are going to happen, or even any of them are going to happen. All right, but I do believe we are going to see measures to support businesses and individuals, the likes of which we have never seen before. But it will take a few days, or maybe even a week or more, for some of these things to play out, okay? Because we're going into a global health crisis. All right. The last thing we need is actually people worrying about, how do I pay the mortgage? How do I pay the rent? Am I going to lose my job? Is my business going to be shut down? All right. The government are going to throw more and more money and resources at this problem, in my belief. Okay. So that's staff priorities. Don't make any knee-jerk reactions. Give it time. Support your team. Okay, homeworking, all of that sort of stuff. Do what you need to do to be a good employer, because your staff will repay you, further down the line for doing the right thing. Suppliers. There's two types of suppliers we've talked about: the big businesses, HMRC banks, insurance, airlines, etc. Okay, that are going to, I believe, be supported or bailed out by the government, or in the case of HMRC, they actually are the government, or SMEs, okay, real people with a real impact. So if you've got SME suppliers and you owe them money, or you've got work that you're going to do with them, and they've got wages to pay, right? They've got people, they've got costs to meet. All right, your non-payment of bills could put them out of business. The key to this is communication and a partnership approach, that we're all in this together. Okay, have that dialogue, have that communication. If you have suppliers who have got contracts with you, talk it through. Okay, work with each other. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation, but a single moment or a single decision or a single action to actually lose one. And then, whilst it's hard to think about the community, that's work community, your local community, your business community, because a lot of people in that safety and psychological needs phase, right? The personal security, my family, what's going to happen? I've got older parents, all of that sort of thing. If I'm locked down, what are we going to do? Are we going to be able to get food? Etc. etc. Okay, but what can you and your business do to help your community as you are getting through this? All right, I think community support and supporting each other is going to be incredibly important as we move forward. So if you're not in a place to think about that at the moment and it's survival mode, totally understand, but do start thinking about how you can help others, because it's one of the things that gives us the greatest satisfaction and reward, is contributing and helping to other people. It leads to happiness, okay? And we're going to need reasons to be happy and cheerful as this plays out. So the 7 biggest mistakes I think you can make in a crisis is you bury your head in the sand and you're blind to what's coming. So make sure you raise your awareness up to that higher level. Hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Yeah, don't hope for the best or plan for the worst if you don't do that. So make sure you do that. Don't make big knee-jerk reactions, and don't make big and bad decisions. Just be a little bit patient. I'm talking days, a week, couple of weeks, that kind of thing. If you don't do your personal and business Corona cash flow forecasts, do them. The personal cash flow was covered, and I gave a template in the former presentation that I did, the first one. Okay, if you don't have a business cash flow, just Google it. There's lots of them online. All right, you can kind of download them. You don't forecast worst case scenarios. So do the cash flow forecasting on a worst case basis, and then kind of move it forward from there. Okay. You're going to basically be adjusting this on a daily, certainly a weekly basis. You don't trust the government to bring in even more extreme financial support. It will come, trust me. Just keep watching the news. You'll see they can't go back on the types of statements that have been made thus far. I mean, I guess they can, but it would be very foolish to do so in such an environment. And then the 7th one, you don't believe that all things shall pass. We will get through this. Okay, we will get beyond this, and we will probably be changed as a result of this and what's coming. Okay, but all things shall pass. All right, when you come out the other side of this, you're still hopefully going to have a business, you're going to have a team. There's going to still be people that need the products and services that you have available. So preparing for UK lockdown, I believe lockdown is coming and will happen gradually with more and more measures over the coming days. And I believe within 7 to 14 days, we will be faced with, as they have in Italy, movement has been limited to urgent medical or professional need. All shops are now closed, except for pharmacies and those stocking food. Companies have been ordered to shut non-essential departments. A wide range of venues, from theatres to schools to hairdressers to museums, are closed. Our grandfathers were drafted to go to war. We're being asked to stay at home. If a doctor or nurse can work 24 hours non-stop we should be able to give up leaving our own home. The huge majority of citizens are respecting the rules. Those that aren't will face sanctions, either fines or criminal charges. Okay. I would be amazed if this is not the situation we're in 7 to 14 days' time in the UK. It's happened in Spain, it's happened in Italy, it's happened in France. Okay, and we're 7 to 14 days behind where they are. Okay, it's the only way to start flattening the curve of this. All right. So that's what I believe is coming. So get prepared. Good luck. Stay safe. Be strong. All right. Hope this guide is useful. And I'll put the link to the presentation as well in the comments below. But plan to do the next presentation over the coming days. I'll pick the, when I think is the right opportunity. But every day from now on, I will start a thread on LinkedIn and on the Bolt Network Facebook group that you can find the link there, and then just do a Q&A with regard to your personal situation. Not just me, but other business owners and entrepreneurs and property investors will all be in that community giving ideas and thoughts. So if you've got any key questions or any key decisions that you need to make, please feel free to join those communities and share and join in the discussion. But good luck, stay safe, be strong, and I hope this is useful. Bye for now.